Surprise appearance by Carlos Alcaraz at the Mutua Madrid Open. Carlos Alcaraz's withdrawal has been dominating the build-up to the Mutua Madrid Open. The world number 2 will miss the tournament for the second consecutive year due to a right wrist injury that forced him to retire at the Barcelona Open, Conde de Godó, and that even threatens to jeopardize his participation at Roland Garros. Despite the injury, Alcaraz has decided to stay in Madrid, where this Tuesday he produced the image of the day with his visit to the Caja Mágica. There, he greeted fans and signed countless autographs with his injured hand, which is currently protected by a splint. "I'm going to undergo a test similar to the one I had, but now with more time since I got injured," Alcaraz said during a press conference. He did not want to give a percentage regarding his chances of being at Roland Garros. "I can't give a percentage. We'll see what happens, but we have a very long career ahead of us, many years, and if I force it at this Roland Garros it could harm me for the future. We'll see the results of the test and what comes out of it, but I prefer to come back later and very well rather than sooner and in bad condition. You have to take care of yourself because a career can be long," he stated. Carlos Alcaraz casts doubt on his participation in Roland Garros. "I prefer to come back a little later and come back well." After receiving the Laureus Award, the player from Murcia prioritized his physical health over defending his title and caught the attention of all of Paris. The tennis world received a cold shower ahead of Roland Garros. During the Laureus World Sports Awards Gala, where he was honored as the best athlete of 2025, Carlos Alcaraz raised alarms when speaking about his physical condition and the real possibility of missing the French Grand Slam. The Spaniard, who last year won the title after an epic 5-hour battle against Jannik Sinner, was blunt about his current situation. "If I force it at this Roland Garros, it could harm me a lot for future tournaments, so we'll see how the test goes, we'll rely on that." Despite the mystique surrounding the Paris tournament for Spanish players, Alcaraz seems to have learned from injuries that have recently kept him away from the top. "I prefer to come back a little later and come back well, rather than come back a bit earlier and come back badly. You have to take care of yourself because a tennis career can be very long," he concluded, making it clear that he will not risk his physical condition if he is not at 100%. According to the Spaniard, his priority is to focus on recovery and return to holding a racket as soon as possible. "Right now, the main thing is to recover, train well, and compete again." Given the proximity of Roland Garros, which begins on May 18, Alcaraz's situation appears critical. His participation is seriously at risk. At present, the probability of him missing the tournament is greater than that of seeing him compete on the Paris clay. The world number 1 just said something about Alcaraz that caught everyone's attention, and it's not what you expect. Jannik Sinner was present this Monday in Madrid on the occasion of the prestigious Laureus Awards Gala, an event that brings together each year the biggest stars in international sport. The Italian, current world number 1, attended with a relaxed and approachable attitude, despite being aware that he was not among the favorites to win an award this time. His presence, however, did not go unnoticed, and he was one of the most sought-after tennis players by the press during his time on the red carpet. The recent champion of the Monte Carlo Masters took the opportunity to speak to the media, and as expected, one of the main topics was the situation of his great generational rival, Carlos Alcaraz. The Spaniard is going through a delicate moment after injuring himself in his debut at the Barcelona Open, a situation that has raised alarms ahead of the upcoming major events on the calendar. Alcaraz appeared in Madrid with a visible splint on his right hand, which made the extent of his physical problem evident. Moreover, the player himself acknowledged that he could not guarantee his participation in Roland Garros, a tournament that will begin in about a month and where he defends the title he won last season. This uncertainty adds even more tension to the clay court season. In this context, Sinner did not hesitate to show his support for his rival and fellow tour player, offering words that reflect both respect and sportsmanship. "Right now Carlos is going through a difficult moment, so we hope to see him back on court soon, maybe in Rome." The Italian went even further in his message, emphasizing the importance of competing against the best. "I also hope he can be at Roland Garros. When you want to win, you want to do it by beating the best players in the world." These statements highlight the healthy rivalry between both players, who are expected to define an era in world tennis. Beyond competition, Sinner made it clear that he wants to see Alcaraz recovered as soon as possible, both for the good of the spectacle and for the sporting challenge of facing him in major events. The Mutua Madrid Open under threat. The 2026 Mutua Madrid Open seems to be under a spell of misfortune. While the organization was still processing the impact of Carlos Alcaraz's absence and that of Novak Djokovic, a new chill has run through the courts of the Caja Mágica. Jannik Sinner, the man who has dominated the start of the season with authoritative control, has set off alarm bells after his latest training session on center court. What was supposed to be a routine practice alongside Argentine Thiago Tirante ended with an image no one wanted to see, the world number one complaining of a sharp pain in his left shoulder. Under the watchful eyes of his coaching team, led by Simone Vagnozzi and physiotherapist Andrea Sapala, the Italian completed the session, but his gestures of discomfort after serving made it clear that the intense start to the year is beginning to take its toll. La Gazzetta warning, precaution or real danger? According to La Gazzetta dello Sport, those around the player are trying to remain calm, assuring that the discomfort is minor. However, within Sinner's camp they know the margin for error is non-existent. The Italian arrives in Madrid with his engine at full capacity after winning 3 consecutive Masters 1000 tournaments between March and April, accumulating a competitive workload that would concern any athlete. The big question in Madrid is strategic. Sinner does not defend any points at this tournament, while in the coming weeks he must defend a final in Rome, his home tournament, where the emotional stakes will be extremely high. Given this scenario, the possibility of a precautionary withdrawal to protect his shoulder ahead of the Foro Italico and Roland Garros is far from unrealistic. A tournament on the ropes. Sinner's withdrawal would be a devastating blow to the prestige of the Spanish tournament. The main draw, just announced hours ago, would lose its top favorite and leave the event without its 3 main attractions. Sinner's medical team will monitor the evolution of his shoulder in the coming hours, but the message is clear: the body of the world's best player has sent its first warning. In the coming hours, the Caja Mágica will hold its breath. If Jannik's shoulder does not respond to immediate treatment from physiotherapist Sapala, Madrid could face one of its most star-deprived editions in the last decade. The era of physical endurance has claimed another potential victim, and the world number one is the latest to join the list of doubts. Jannik Sinner, world number one, stated this Tuesday that it is difficult to play due to certain things in Madrid, although he admitted that, without Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic in the tournament, there is a difference. The Italian is making his 4th appearance at the Caja Mágica, with a quarterfinal result in 2024 as his best showing, aiming to continue preparing for his main goal on clay, Roland Garros. Let's see how I feel, but the plan is to play and try to perform in the best way possible. I'll take it day by day. In my mind, the most important thing is Roland Garros. We'll try to arrive in the best possible shape. Here I will try to play my best tennis, said Sinner in statements to the media. In Madrid, Sinner was able to enjoy his first hours in the Spanish capital during the Laureus Awards Gala, where he met Alcaraz. I arrived here a few days ago, but I've been very busy doing different things. I don't know the city very well, but I hope to have time to explore, said the Italian, focused on having a good tournament in Madrid. I think the style of play here is unique. The pace is very high and the atmosphere can be humid at times, so it's very difficult to play here. I think playing in Madrid can be very challenging due to certain factors like adapting depending on your opponent. I haven't played very well here, so we'll see how it goes this year, but I'm very happy to be here, he explained. When you feel a good connection with the crowd, it's very special to play here. I have a good relationship with Spain and with Carlos there is a good friendship. I think people can recognize that in a positive way. I'm very excited to step onto this court and see how it goes, he added. As I said, we have a very long career ahead of us, many years of good tennis. If I force it at this Roland Garros, it could harm me a lot for future tournaments, so we'll see how the test goes, we'll rely on that. I prefer to come back a little later and come back well, rather than come back earlier and come back badly. You have to take care of yourself because a tennis career can be very long, Alcaraz said at the Laureus. Becker explains why Alcaraz gets injured more than Sinner. According to Boris Becker, there is a specific reason why Alcaraz suffers more injuries than Sinner. It is rare to see the Italian withdraw from a tournament due to physical problems. In fact, the last time he missed a significant number of tournaments was due to a doping suspension. Jannik is very careful with his schedule and already chose not to push himself in the week following Monte Carlo in order to recover properly from the effort of winning the tournament. It is true that Alcaraz gets injured more frequently than Sinner, but it is due to his style. He has a different style compared to Sinner. I call Sinner Djokovic 2.0, with a similar style from the baseline, very consistent. In addition, he wins his matches quickly. Alcaraz usually loses a set and has to play for 3 hours. That takes a toll on his body, the German acknowledged. Although Alcaraz has greatly improved his issue with lapses in concentration, something that used to happen in almost every match a few years ago, he remains a less robotic player than Sinner. Being a more magical and unpredictable profile, he also takes more risks and makes more errors, which leads him to not finish his matches as convincingly as the Italian, who is accustomed to not dropping sets.